Hey there and welcome back to Tactical Breach Wizards. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of this completionist walkthrough on hard difficulty with health cut in half. Last time we left off after securing Villa Medial, the country's military and political center of operations, and with it now serving as our base of operations, we are almost ready for the final assault. I say almost because, well, if you have paid close attention to the series so far, then you knew this was coming. 4 of our 5 wizards already had their anxiety dreams, the only one still missing is Zan, so he is up to date and for that we need to prepare a bit. First of all, we want to refund the time bomb perk, simply because he will at most have one teammate this mission, and we want to grab supportive fire too so that he can continuously target enemies that others are shooting. In addition, we will also get rid of the +1 damage bonus to predictive bolt, usually very useful but not today. Instead, with Hurtful Lie, we ensure that Zan's false prophet can actually attack someone too, which will help us tremendously and also allow us to unlock another achievement. Ah, shit. So we're doing this in Liboli? Odd choice. Brought you home, kid. We left when I was 7. Then it's high time you came back. I was here on Tuesday. Look, what you really need is to kick some ass. Druid Mafia ass doesn't bring back my finest hour. That's why they're here. Face your fears, clear your mind, master the moment. You are a badass Special Forces operative and you're gonna ice every motherfucker in that room. Non-lethally. Whatever. Breach. Right, so Zan's anxiety dream takes us back to good old Liboli. For a change, we're facing the comparatively harmless Druid Mafia enemies for this one, so completing Zan's confidence goal of finishing the mission with all team members at full health should not be too difficult. So, to get us started, we'll have Dream Zan move to the intel on the side here and have him shoot the Mafia Sprig in the back, and afterwards he can lay down a predictive bolt. Real Zan then moves in to shoot the Mafia Shrub Lord into it, giving Dream Zan his second point of mana, enough to use Time Boost twice, and that should do it. However, as Zan shoots the last enemy here, something weird happens. What the f***, man? You need some toughening up. No pain, no gain. Right, so looks like Dream Zan is interpreting his role a bit differently, using some sort of supportive fire, I guess. Problem is, this voids our confidence goal, so let's rewind, and let's use the false prophet instead. Dream Zan has the same perks as the real one, so this false prophet will be able to attack. Right, so Dream Zan shoots any Zan in sight as a reaction, real or fake. Real Zan, meanwhile, uses supportive fire to take out the last enemy, and with no enemies left, we can now move freely, use the laptop, open the door, and finish the level. You won't believe this, but you shooting me while I shot some fake gangsters hasn't resolved my guilt complex. Yet. Tough takes time. Every steak takes a pounding to become its best. You know that tenderizing meat makes it softer, right? Shut up and take a brain peek at what I've got in store for you next. This looks like me? 4 of me, in my goth phase? Exactly. Shooting 4 of me in my goth phase is gonna do it, you think? Ever since your Dasa, you've been so afraid of doing the wrong thing. You've put up all these guardrails you won't let yourself cross. Represented by goth me casting predictive bolt in all directions. See, you get it. I wouldn't go that far. It's time to face the most dangerous enemy, brother. Yourself. It looks trivial, though. Confidence, finally. Okay, so Dream Zan definitely taking a slightly different therapeutic approach here. We are now facing ourselves, 4 of them, and all of them have predictive bolts ready. Our confidence goal demands that we finish by the end of turn 2, and of course we can't breach through this door right here. So let's redeploy Zan over to the other side, and then we're going to shoot the mental guard overwatching the door. This not only gets rid of their predictive bolts, but also of one more enemy, so let's keep going. We set up a predictive bolt of our own and then have Dream Zan breach. He is now going to move over to the far left side and then shoots the mental guard that we also just shot, causing Zan's predictive bolt to trigger, and we gain 1 point of mana. And using that mana, we are now going to deploy a false prophet over by the reinforcement door here. That false prophet then shoots one of the mental guards, causing them to shoot one of their own. Then Dream Zan shoots the false prophet, and finally the real Zan shoots the last mental guard. Yes, things are definitely getting a bit convoluted here. Let's finish this first of only 2 turns we have with another predictive bolt. So, another copycat Zan reinforcement is immediately taken down, but as you can see, we can't quite make it over to the reinforcement door here, so I guess Dream Zan will have to help out a bit, the only way he knows how. God damn, there it is, show those fangs, Tiger. I don't know why I did that. Killer instinct, baby. Right, so looks like real Zan has begun retaliation fire on Dream Zan now too. This certainly does not bode well for their continued success together. Luckily, at least this level here is now complete. Feel like the trauma factor of shooting myself that many times might have distracted from tearing down my inhibitions. Man up, Zan, you'll have to do darker shit than that if you want to take on Liv. There are some lines we shouldn't cross though, right? Not me. Be like me. Be free. It does sound appealing when you say it using only 1-syllable words. Exactly. Not worth saying it if it won't fit on a bumper sticker. Is that a reliable test of solid life advice though? See, you're worrying again. We're gonna break you of that. Alright, it's a hellish maze of restrictive inhibitions and paralyzing doubts in there. That checks out. So get your ass in there and let's rip it to shreds. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that what you are now thinking is about the same I was thinking when I first saw this level. Dream Zan sure wasn't wrong when he said that we're going to face a maze. At least we don't have a turn restriction on this one. However, we do want to keep our confidence goal here in mind, as this one will require us to cast Time Boost twice in 1 turn, for which we'll need 2 points of mana and line of sight between the 2 Zans. Now, to get us started, we can easily take out one of the mental guards with the real Zan here. Dream Zan, meanwhile, loops around to the other side of the intel, grabs it, and then casts a false prophet to block the first reinforcement door. This also gets rid of 1 more mental guard, and the prophet gets himself shot as a reward. And at this point we can end the turn. Dream Zan here does not have line of sight at anyone else. Entering through one of the remaining reinforcement doors, then we've got another different version of Zan, this one acting essentially like a tracker. To get us started on turn 2, we set up a predictive bolt with Dream Zan, move the real one out of the way. This eliminates 1 more enemy, and Dream Zan gains a point of intel, which he can now use by moving up as far as possible. And once more, we are going to cast False Prophet, this time to block the other reinforcement door. Thanks to supportive fire, this also removes another enemy from the battlefield, and even though we currently do have actions left on both Zans, we are not going to take them. Doing so would only cause the 2 of them to shoot each other. So, it's turn 3 and only 1 reinforcement door is left to spit out new enemies. Most of those enemies are also continuously shifting around their predictive bolts, and because we have learned that Dream Zan and Real Zan are a bit of a threat to each other, we are now going to have Real Zan move over to this side and shoot 1 enemy out the window, while Dream Zan does the same over on the other side. Just for good measure, we can also have both of them set up predictive bolts, although the chances of enemies actually running into these are slim, and then we can already end the turn. We get lucky then with the placement of the predictive bolts from the 2 mental guards in the middle of the room next to the intel. This allows us to do the following: first move up and eliminate another mental guard with the real Zan, then set up a predictive bolt, and then Dream Zan moves in, grabs the intel and shoots the enemy into it. This works because our predictive bolts are always triggered before those of our enemies. Once again then, we set up another predictive bolt to end the turn and watch as more reinforcements keep piling in. So, with the last remaining reinforcement door now on cooldown, we have a chance to do some good damage here. Let's begin by having real Zan shoot one of these so-called hostile thoughts. And afterwards he can move all the way down to the corner of the room here and lay down another predictive bolt. Keep in mind that the order of movements here is important because we never want the two Zans to have line of sight with each other. And with the help of a false prophet, Dream Zan can now eliminate 2 enemies for the price of 1. However, this still leaves one of the 3 hostile thoughts standing, easily fixed with a second false prophet. And yes, I know the enemy would have shot our first prophet, leaving our 2 Zans in peace, but this gives us a bit more room to operate on this next turn, in which we set things up to complete the confidence goal. No reinforcements means no additional enemies to worry about, so let's have Zan grab the intel and then we can simply end the turn. It is in fact of vital importance that we begin this next turn with 2 enemies present, no more, no less. And that is now exactly the case, so let's get to it. Dream Zan moves into position and gets time boosted twice for a grand total of 3 available actions. Then the real Zan breaks line of sight with his dream counterpart, but still shoots the hostile thought here, which can now be easily taken out by Dream Zan. With his next 2 actions, he then eliminates the last remaining mental guard, and just like that, our confidence goal for this level has been completed. Now, we will have to spend one more turn in here just because we don't have enough movement to seal the reinforcement door. Just in case, we'll set up a few predictive bolts and then end the turn. Right, so the enemy here has put themselves in the perfect position. Both of our Zans can target them, while they do not have line of sight to shoot one another. So, last enemy down, let's move in to seal the reinforcement door and complete the level. Jen? Sorry Zan, but your evil twin sucks. We gotta put him through a window. But we were just starting to work together. Listening to women makes you weak. Alright, yeah, we can punt him. Right, so interesting development here. Zan's anxiety dream is joined by Jen, and after 3 levels, the 2 of them have now decided to kick out Dream Zan, and I'd have to agree with that decision. The guy was being a bit of a prick. However, officially he is still part of our team, and it is also still our currently active turn, meaning that both Zans have exhausted their actions and the fenestrating is therefore up to Jen. Thankfully, 2 Gale Grenades get Dream Zan in position for the static blast, and even if shooting him now will trigger a retaliation shot, it will also trigger supportive fire. So there we go, that's also the tactical exit achievement unlocked. You can in theory grab this at any other point in the game too, just push one of your folks out the window and then rewind. Either way, the level is now complete and we can proceed with the 4th and final one. How are you here? I was having a nightmare about sun bears and then I heard someone being mean to my friend. Damn it, are there no privacy settings on these things? I mean, I'm glad you're here, but I do not want you in some of my others. I'll teach you some mind guard charms after this, but we should focus on your first. Why is your dream clone such a prick? Maybe he is how I imagine confidence? I freeze when I think I might let someone down. The guy we just met sure doesn't. And he was a prick. He was, right? So you're doing it right, you've just gotta beat yourself up less about it. Should we be concerned that getting rid of him didn't wake you up? Oh, that's because he's back and enormous and in the next room. Ah, maybe your dream brain felt like this arc needed more of a climax? Then let's not disappoint. Right, welcome to the grand finale of Zan's anxiety dream, at the heart of which is one giant version of Zan himself, sporting 16 hit points and the ability to shoot anyone who attacks him immediately, but in addition to that, he will also attack in the 4C phase. Zan's confidence goal meanwhile demands that we prevent 2 reinforcements, and with the door here only able to spit out 3, that essentially means that we need to block it off on the next turn. So then, let's get to it. We start things off with Jen, who can grab the mana here and then cast Chain Bolt on this guy, and this one. A drive-by predictive bolt then harms Giant Zan, and in turn also causes him to retaliate, once again not differentiating between friend or foe. Let's move in our Zan next, defenestrate one hostile with 3 bolt burst and then set up a predictive bolt of our own, which we can now trigger with a simple Gale Grenade. With the point of mana, we can then deploy a False Prophet, which pushes Giant Zan towards the window and in turn triggers supportive fire, leading him to step right into the last predictive bolt. That's plenty of damage dealt. Now we have to end the turn by going into cover, otherwise Giant Zan would shoot us. So, 3 enemies are left and we need to seal the reinforcement door on this turn, and here's how we're going to do that and unlock another achievement in the process too. First, we're going to move Zan over here and then hit him and the other enemy with a Gale Grenade, as this gives Zan an extra movement action and allows him to get right next to the intel. Once he has grabbed it, we want to move Jen into position, then we set up a predictive bolt and have Jen blast the enemy into it. With 2 points of mana at his disposal, Zan will now place a False Prophet to lock off the reinforcement door. That Prophet then also targets one of the mental guards, causing them to shoot their predictive bolt at Giant Zan, who instantly retaliates and takes out his last ally. And this is where things now get interesting thanks to the Supportive Fire 2 perk, because if we now shoot someone with Zan, the False Prophet can fire at that target too. Previously, Zan always followed up a shot from the False Prophet, this time it's the other way around, and thus we unlock the Back Yourself Up achievement and complete Zan's Anxiety Dream. That itself will of course pop another achievement in just a second, as well as another useful perk for our Navy Seer. And there we go, the Stop Hitting Yourself achievement has been unlocked, as Zan completes his Anxiety Dream through the power of friendship, gaining a very fitting +3 knockback to his 3 bolt burst. So a bit of Jen now resting with him as well, and this will come in handy for the final mission that we will embark on very soon. Before we get to that, however, completing Zan's Anxiety Dream unlocks another brief conversation between Zan and Jen, so let's have the two of them talk about what just happened. So you want to talk about it? Thanks for the assist. Never had backup in a self-hate dream before. That wasn't the first? He gets me when my emotional immune system's down, when it's busy with something else. Your chat with Liv, back in Kalen. Yeah. I'm just lost this time, Jen. I could barely cope when I thought I'd made the hard choice. How am I ever gonna get past knowing I made the mother of all f***ups instead? Well, I think you were already coping with it. I never understood why you were so cut up about that night. If you'd saved the hostage and Liv was only briefly captured from her own mistake, why was it haunting you? Because rhetorical, let me finish pop-psyching you, please. I think you were already carrying the weight of the truth, you just couldn't look right at it yet. Well, it sure as f*** got heavier when I found out. I'm sure, I'm just saying, don't think your 2 years of pain were nothing. It's all progress. And any chance it's not true? Nah, I knew it as soon as she said it. Saw it. It explains a lot too. Never said right that I got a dishonorable discharge for following my orders to a T. But it's not all on you. What's that gross Navy saying you told me? It takes more than one asshole to make a storm? Right. Graphic but valid. Who else am I meant to blame for this? Well, Liv, tactically. You said Liv was off that night and you warned her there was something fishy in that room. Was she careful? No. Were you? Yeah, I mean, as much as... Right, so Liv is the primary author of this becoming a crisis. And Liv as a leader, how did Liv feel about failure? Not an option. So, when you're put in a situation where every option is some kind of failure, you've been trained not to accept either option. I'm a soldier, Jen, I should be able to make my own decisions. For sure, but we're talking factors, and an unhealthy aversion to disappointing Liv was a factor. Not to mention the guy who shot him. Have you considered that some of the blame for the hostage's death might lie with the guy who shot the hostage in the head? Because if I was hired to solve this murder, it would take me 12 seconds and your name wouldn't come up. I'd still have to bill for the hour though. My accountant says I can't round down anymore. He'd be alive if we hadn't been there. And was that your decision? No, but defense rests. Look, I'm not trying to sugarcoat this. You froze at a bad time to freeze. But the story you're telling yourself is that you walked into a picnic and got someone killed. And I'm saying you were thrown in a blender and you got out alive. You weren't able to save everyone else thrown in there with you. That's the extent of your crime. I want to believe that. I'm trying to see it that way. But we're walking into a blender the size of a nation. I don't know how to tell myself I'm not gonna get you killed. But you're not choosing this for us. You're an asset that we need to win. You kicked this off, but you followed my lead on the investigation, you listened to Dal when her objectives took priority, and now you're following the Moss plan. When you form a team, you let it be a team. If we win, it'll be because of that. And if we lose, well, then I guess toxic leadership is super effective, but it'll still suck. I think your DASA was a one-off, but even if it wasn't, having limitations doesn't mean you're broken. If it turns out your brain struggles with decisions, maybe get out of the tactical leadership game. But other than that, who cares? People are decisive when they care less about the consequences. If caring too much turns out to be your problem, you're doing all right. Thanks. I don't think I'll ever forgive myself as much as you do, but hearing all this helped. It's moving my baseline. From where I've been at, that's worth a lot. And there we go. Zan's anxiety dream as well as this bittersweet follow-up conversation are now both behind us. We unfortunately did not quite gain enough confidence points with this one to unlock the next outfit for Zan. And I've read your comments on the last episode asking me to put everyone into their final outfits for the last mission, which we would only be able to achieve if we also played through all of the optional Dreams missions before that. I could certainly do that and then upload that as sort of a bonus episode at the end of the series, but it would still take me a bit of time that I could not spend working on the actual finale itself. So let me know what you would prefer, a finale next week, ideally around Christmas, although I don't want to make any promises just yet, or a finale a little later, but with all optional outfits unlocked. Either way, for today we'll make the cut at this point. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can of course go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or check out and maybe even pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time for the grand finale. Cheers.